All of us with small backyard gardens need to get creative in order to have enough space, and vertical growing is one of those options. Did it work for me this year? Stay tuned to the Figs Fowl Farm and you'll find out. Well, as I've said before, I have a small backyard garden and I have about 350 square feet altogether. And I need to make the most of what space I do have. And so this year I experimented with vertical growing. Vertical growing, that means trying to grow stuff up and give more room in your garden. And I had a friend who was nice enough to make me some very sturdy metal structures, and then I made my own little vertical growing things. I made structures for my sweet potatoes to grow on. Well, I also had some plants that decided to kind of make their own structures to grow on, like my pumpkins. They decided to grow all the way up my lilac bush, to grow up the trellis that I have over my entrance to my backyard, and then continue on up over the fence and use the fence as a growing structure. Well, some of these structures have been very successful, I would say. The cucumbers did really well on the structure for it. And the sweet potatoes, I've been able to keep them up off of the ground and not vining all over my whole garden and kind of keeping them contained. So that worked really well. Most gardeners will trellis their peas up, and I did that as well, and they loved it. But there were a few that didn't work so well. Part of it was my fault, part of it was the plant's fault. For instance, the little pyramid teepee kind of a thing that I built for my winter squash would have done okay, except that I planted way too many winter squash in it. It got a little bit out of control. I think that I was just afraid that my seeds wouldn't germinate, and so I overplanted there. I've learned that maybe if I just do a few plants, that structure might work out really well. The other thing that didn't work so well were the stakes that I used, especially for my summer squash. As you know, summer squash gets really big and keeps growing and growing and growing, and the stakes were just not tall enough for how big my summer squash got. So am I happy with vertical growing, and will I do it again next year? Well, yes. Overall, it was pretty successful. My sweet potatoes didn't take over my whole garden. My tomatoes had plenty of structure and strength to them. My cucumbers, I was able to see them and get in there and pick them. The pumpkins, well, they just kind of did great all by themselves. Yes, I would say overall, the only thing I might do different is the summer squash. So yes, vertical growing, especially if you have a small garden, that is the way to go. Overall, I've been pretty happy with the results of my vertical growing. Yes, there were a few things that went wrong, but for the most part, it gave me more space, got things up off of the ground, and I was able to have a better harvest. I hope that you'll try some vertical growing in your garden. If you do, leave me a comment, let me know how it goes. And don't forget, you can always like and subscribe to the Figs Fowl Farm, and you'll get regular videos when they come out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thought I would give you a little rating on all of these different things that I used for vertical growing. I used a lot of these sticks and they turned out to be way too short very quickly. The pool cue was a little bit better, except it wasn't real sturdy. It looked cool. And I bought these green ones thinking they would be really the best, and they turned out to be almost the worst because they didn't hold up any weight at all. And they kept bending over, so there's no stability to them. I found these metal pipes in my neighborhood and put them in the ground, and they worked the best. It just would have been nicer if they were taller as well. These worked really good for pepper plants and shorter plants, and they look cool too. And of course, tried and true bamboo. I use those on my pepper plants and other things, but I still need to find something that's tall enough and strong enough and sturdy enough for my summer squash.